Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the channel. And DC TechNet is your own channel, so do like, share and subscribe the channel. Thanks for joining in, and let's see what we have today. Today will be the part 3 of our group policy mechanism, and let's recap what we have covered in part 2. So we have seen what is group policy and where do group policies store their information. We have also seen types of group policy objects and group policy configuration model in our part 2. So let's see what we have in our part 3. So in our part 3, in our today's part, we'll see group policy settings, where can we apply group policy processing order, and we'll see group policy precedence. So we'll cover these 4 points today. So let's dive in. So let's see what are group policy settings. So group policy settings are individual items in group policy object which actually controls the hardware and the user preferences. So there are different settings for users and different settings for computers. So there are, say, thousands and thousands of settings in a single group policy object. So here is an example of some, say, settings for network connections. So there are, say, around about 15-20 settings just for network connections. For example, prohibit access to properties of components of a local area network connection, or say prohibit deletion of remote access connection. So these are all individual items called as group policy settings in an Active Directory group policy object. So every individual settings has 3 states: not configured, enabled and disabled. So let's take an example: prohibit access to properties of a LAN connection. This is an individual setting and we have 3 states: not configured, enabled and disabled. And by default the state of every setting is not configured out of the box. Okay, so whenever we build Active Directory, so by default every setting is not configured because Microsoft don't want to enable or disable any setting out of the box. Microsoft wants us to define the policy and say enable or disable the setting accordingly. So let us see where can we apply group policies now. So we can apply group policies at these 3 Active Directory containers: domain, site and OU or organizational unit. So these are the 3 Active Directory containers where we can say apply group policies. So let's take an example. So we have an Active Directory over here, contoso.com, and we have number of organizational units and we have a site named Atlanta. So we have this domain contoso.com, we have a site Atlanta, and we have an OU named HR. So we can apply policies at these 3 containers. So we can apply, let's say we created a policy, global security policy, and we applied it at the domain level. We created another policy for Atlanta users, let's say Atlanta shared drive policy, and applied it at the Atlanta site. And we want to control the access to the internet for HR. So we created another policy named HR internet policy and we applied it at the HR OU. So we can apply policies at three containers or three levels: domain, OU and site. So let's understand group policy processing order, means how the group policies are processed, and we'll also take a look at the group policy precedence. So there are two things very important to understand: the processing order and the precedence of group policy. So let's look at them one by one. So before diving into it, we have to make a note that a user, an Active Directory user, can log on to any Windows computer. He or she can log on to any Windows computer, man, in the world of Active Directory. So let's understand group policy processing order. So just remember LSDOU. So the processing order is: the local policies will be first processed, then the site level policies will be processed, then the domain level policies will be processed, and last the OU level or the organization level policies will be processed. So this is the processing order. So let's understand this processing order with an example over here. So how the policies are processed. So this is our Windows computer. Any Windows computer. It can be, say, a workstation or can be a server as well. It's a domain joined computer. Now the Windows system boots, and as soon as the system boots, at the time, say it has, the user has not yet logged on now. Okay, the user has not yet logged on. Now the computer side group policy settings will be applied. Now this computer will be a part of some organization unit and some site. So if we have policies configured at the computer side, those policies will be first applied. So first the local computer policies will be applied, and then the site level computer side group policy settings will be applied. And if there is a conflict between the local policies and the site level policies, the site level policies will take precedence over local policies. Means site level policies will override local policies. And then domain level computer side group policy settings will be applied. And if there is a conflict between local policies, site policies and domain level policies will have higher precedence, means it will override site level and local policies. And last but not the least, this computer will be the part of an organizational unit in Active Directory, and the OU level policies will be applied, and it will override local site and domain policies. Now we have to remember one thing: the user has not yet logged on to the system. So the computer side group policy settings are applied, and it has worked in this particular fashion. Now an Active Directory user logs on to this system. So what happens is, the user side GPOs, say group policy object settings, will be applied. So site level policies, this user will be a part of a site, so the site level policies will be first applied. Then the domain level policies will be applied, and if there is a conflict, again domain level policy will override site level policies, and this user will be the part of an OU. So OU level policies will be overriding domain level policies and site policies. So this overriding will only and only happen at the time of conflict. If there is no conflict, every setting will be applied to the computer and the user. Just remember, this overriding will only and only be applicable if there is a conflict. This is the default behavior. So a good administrator will always make sure that there is no conflict in site, domain or OU level policies, or this mechanism will come into picture. Now let us understand group policy precedence with the same example over here. So the organizational unit policies has the highest precedence, or the policies which gets applied at the end will have a higher precedence. So OU level policies will override all the other policies in the situation of conflict. Then we have domain policies, then site level policies, and then the local policies. So this is the group policy precedence. So the group policy processing order is local, site, domain and OU, and the group policy precedence is exactly opposite of group policy processing order. It is OU, domain, site and then say local. So let's run down to the summary what we have seen today. So today we have seen group policy settings. We have seen where can we apply group policy. We have understood the group policy processing order, and we have also understood the group policy precedence. So thanks for joining today and see you in the next video. Have a great day.